role of the mitochondria. How many people know who Bruce Ames is? I'm just curious. Okay, he's the in terms of living scientists, he's not an MD, he's a PhD. He's the most published living scientist alive. And his work now, the Ames test, which you may or may not have heard of, the Ames test was a way that he developed, a thing he developed that every medical student at least studies, which was a quick assay to determine if something was toxic and likely to be mutagenic. So it was using bacteria, so you take bacterial cultures, you'd expose them to a different toxin. If they developed a lot of genetic breakage and damage, you could identify something that was going to be potentially carcinogenic or at least mutagenic in a couple of weeks rather than following populations of people for decades. He figured out, I won't go into the whole story, but he figured out from his lab, he's in Northern California, he's at UCSF, his lab is at Oakland Children's Hospital. But he figured out that missing a single nutrient in your diet, so you could have a diet that was missing vitamin D or folate or vitamin B6, but the complete absence of a single nutrient in your diet leads to more damage to the DNA than parking you in front of a nuclear reactor. So more damage than exposure to radiation does. And so he's been really fascinated by that. And it's interesting because, he found, so he was working in the Oakland school system and giving kids vitamins. And what happened when you gave them a simple, he was using cheap crap. Costco vitamins. And I made that mistake when I was having lunch with him, and I was trying to talk about how you needed quality vitamins, that you can't just go down and buy stuff from Costco. And he goes, my vitamins come from Costco. Foot and mouth. But he was just treating kids to see what would happen. And what happened? You give them vitamins, and lo and behold, less violence in the schools. Lower dropout rate. Uniform test scores increase more than any intervention that anybody had ever tried in the Oakland public school system. Simply by giving the kids a single cheap vitamin pill a day and correcting and there's no, he couldn't identify a single vitamin that was the bad actor. He would test these kids, and this one would be missing folate, this would be missing that. So, but he has been looking at where does the damage occur, what eventually leads to this damage, and it's the mitochondria. And it's incomplete combustion of toxins. So we hear about free radicals, and a lot when you hear about free radicals and the damage that's been done, that is done by those, even though it may not have his name on it, that work is mostly coming from him and his work. And what he showed is, detoxification in the body. There's phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1 detoxification, where you're basically conjugating toxins and modifying them in a way so that in phase 2 you can package them and excrete them. Phase 1 can produce some very toxic radical entities. Just in that in the process of detoxification, you produce free radicals. And you need adequate amounts of superoxide dismutase and vitamin C, and you need these things around, and they're naturally present in the cells, so that process of getting rid of toxins doesn't in itself become toxic. And that's why you take more of these antioxidants and things that can actually go from your mouth into your cells eventually. But what he showed is that a lot of this detoxification is occurring in the mitochondria. And I couldn't get a copy. He's very kind of holds this one very close, but he's got a little video of a mitochondria in the cell scooting around like a motorboat, spewing free radicals. So you start these cascades where you don't have adequate antioxidants around to stop the process. You start this cascade that's forming free radicals, and it just takes off and perpetuates itself. And so you get this from the mitochondria attempting to deal with toxins. And part of the reason the mitochondria does this is that all of the systems we have for dealing with toxins developed centuries ago to help us deal with all of the garbage we make burning calories. So when you talk about oxidative metabolism, burning calories, that's a filthy process. It makes as much garbage as if you were to take your meal, dry it out, put it on a plate, light a match to it. The smoke, the soot, the stuff that would be left behind, that's happening in our mitochondria every day. And so we have these very elegant systems for dealing with toxins. Those are the ones that get called on to deal with environmental toxins as well. But we have a huge system that allows us to live in an oxygen atmosphere and burn get energy from oxidative metabolism. But when it's overwhelmed or in the absence of adequate antioxidants, the mitochondria become sort of the formation of free radicals, involved in the formation of free radicals. So streams of free radicals flowing from the mitochondria. And the excessive production magnifies the damage caused by the toxins.